Hello everyone. Thanks for taking the time to watch this safety video. I get it, safety videos can be very boring. Please know that if this was not a very important safety situation, we wouldn't be asking you to spend your time watching this one. So let me be very clear. Everyone here at Metal Sales has the same goal. We all want to go home in the same shape that we came to work in. Nobody goes to work planning to lose fingers or crush a limb. But unfortunately, that's exactly what can happen when operating one of our powered folders. Now, every one of our plants uses this piece of equipment every day, so it can be easy to get complacent and maybe take shortcuts or get distracted. But a split second can have a lifetime of consequences for you and your family. So today we're going to hear a very heartfelt message from one of our fellow employees, Sean, and his wife, Brandy, also a Metal Sales employee, about how a very normal day turned out to be a very bad day for him and his family while he was operating on a powered folder. After hearing Sean's story, we'll review the proper operation of the powered folder and the steps each of us should follow to stay safe so we can go home to our families without injuries. Here's Sean and Brandy to share their story.
So I was 19, and so you're kind of you feel like you're bulletproof, you know what I mean? You don't think it can happen to you. You go in, it's like, what's the worst can happen? And you find out pretty quick, kind of the worst that can happen. So the day started off like normal. It was actually a Saturday. So I woke up that Saturday just thinking I'd go in, run for a couple hours, and come home and kind of figure out what we're doing for the rest of the weekend, right? I usually worked on a roll former, but that day, for whatever reason, I was asked by my supervisor to go over and run or help with a powered folder. I'd never worked on that type of machine before, had no training, I had no experience at all. I didn't know where the safety stops were. I didn't know the job hazard analysis, and I didn't ask those questions. You know, in a lot of cases, you tend to do things because somebody tells you instead of keeping at the forefront of your mind your own safety. So I went over to help him out, and it was actually a machine that I had never ran before, wasn't real familiar with it. The guy that operated the machine knew that, so he tried to make it as easy as possible for me. So he turned the machine actually to a one-man operation instead of two, whereas if it was two-man, I would have had my own foot pedal and I would have had to tell the machine that I was ready for the process to happen. So kind of get myself out of the pinch point and everything like that. When that process, one of those safety stops fell down and I put my arm in the machine about up to my elbow and flipped the stop back up, shoved the part up against it. While I was doing that, the operator was still talking to the guy that had come over and was kind of hanging out with us and started the press coming down. So I had a split second to react. I pulled my hand out as far as I could and it pinched my hand at the base of my knuckles and crushed it completely. So he gets the press back up and you kind of really go into survival mode. So I pulled my hand out of the press. When I took my hand out and looked at my hand, all four of my fingers fell backwards. So, you know, my pointer finger was completely splintered. The bone was split open, the bone was splintered and just pretty much obliterated that. My middle and ring fingers on that hand got separated at the joint and, you know, the bone and everything was showing there. And then on my pinky, it actually was a compound fracture and broke my pinky and the bone was sticking out of the side of my palm. Probably went into shock shortly after, but I don't think I realized the gravity of the situation at that point. So I think even seeing my hand come out of the press, in my mind, I thought it wasn't that bad. I'm gonna go to the hospital and they're gonna stitch me up and I'm gonna get a cast and this is just gonna be a bad day, right? When you get to the hospital and you start hearing the doctors talk, and you've gotta start signing paperwork about losing parts of your body, right? So you have to sign a piece of paper saying that it's okay for them to amputate part of your body if they see fit. All of a sudden, you realize the situation that you're in, and at that point, it's too late. I think it was about a 12-hour surgery. The first day, my index finger was gone, that it couldn't be saved, but they had saved the other 3. So they went back in that Tuesday, I think it was. So then they had to take off a second finger that day. And then from that point forward, for about the next 2.5 years, there was various stints in rehab. Overall, I think I had 7 surgeries, incrementally fixing various problems that were either caused from the crush wound that day or the surgeries, past that point. Writing right-handed is still a challenge today. I write, like I said, like a middle schooler. That you really take for granted, like holding your cell phone and being able to scroll or type or text. Buttoning my shirts is difficult on a day in and day out basis. You wouldn't think that you need both hands to do a lot of these things, but you do. Zipping up your pants, tying your shoes, all those things are a lot more difficult today than they were, before that injury. And part of my dominant hand was gone. So it took me, years of practice to be able to throw a baseball right-handed, play catch with my 4-year-old. So all that stuff that just came naturally to you all your life, it doesn't anymore. All those things get taken from you in the blink of an eye. Just a moment of mental lapse could essentially change your whole life. You forget how powerful those machines are or anything like that, but the best way to put it would just be that you get lulled to sleep by being there every day, and you think you got it, and nothing's ever gonna happen like that to you, and then when you think that, that's when it happens.
He was so young. He was only 19 years old, and it wasn't like we lost him, so that was good, but it was like he lost a part of himself, and that was hard for everyone to take. You don't really think about something like that happening to someone, close to you or someone you love, but when it does, it breaks your heart because it's gonna hurt them. So our 4-year-old probably notices more than any of them right now. They're 4, 2, and 1. It really gets to me when our 4-year-old, he asks to hold the other hand. He wants to hold the good hand. That gets to me. Like the first time he said that, me and Sean just looked at each other and I didn't really know what to say. But to our kids, it's new, and to hear them say they want to hold the good hand, it hurts. It hurts me to hear that because I know it has to hurt him. You can't be careless. You have to focus on safety first, and then you have to worry about doing your job. You can't put that aside. It's not worth it. You have to just always pay attention and do what's best for you.
The powered folder is a common piece of equipment at Metal Cells, and everyone should know how to operate it safely. If you haven't been trained on it or don't feel like you know how to operate it properly, talk to your supervisor first. It's okay to ask questions and ask for more training. We're going to run through the job hazard analysis and the basic safety actions for the powered folder. First, let's take a look at the hazards that exist when operating the folder. There is the possibility of cuts, abrasions, crushing, puncture wounds, and electric shock. When you're operating the powered folder, you're required to wear personal protective equipment, or PPE, which is safety glasses and steel-toe shoes. When you handle metal, gloves and arm guards are also required. Okay, now let's look at the job hazard analysis for the powered folder. We'll walk through the basic job steps and talk about the existing and potential hazards and what you should do about them. Here's step 1. At the beginning of every shift, it is mandatory to check for the proper safety stop height. To do this, operate the machine empty to test for proper safety stop height, as well as the functions of the emergency stop. Hazards during this check include getting caught in pinch points and the folding operation. If you see any damage or problems, lock out the machine and immediately report them to your supervisor. On to step 2. Check to make sure the foot pedals are functioning properly. The hazards are getting caught in pinch points and the folding operation. Again, if you see any damage or problems, lock out the machine and report them to your supervisor. Some of our folders are equipped with safety lasers or light curtains. These must be tested at the beginning of the shift for proper functionality and calibration. Step 3. Make sure your helper is safety trained on the powered folder. Make sure both of you read the operating instructions and the job hazard analysis. If you have any questions at all, check with your supervisor first. Step 4. Select and verify that the proper control selections are made. The operator and helper should double check the selection. This will help keep both of you from pinch points and the folding operation. Okay, now step 5. If this is a 2-person operation, the key should be turned to the proper position and removed. This is critical. Never, under any circumstances, should you run the folder with 2 people in single-person mode. It is extremely dangerous and puts you at tremendous risk for injury. Step 6. If you're in a 2-person folder operation, advise the helper of the proper sequence and precautions to be followed. For a 2-person operation, 2 foot controls are required. For the safety of both operators, it's important to operate in the proper mode. Let's move on to step 7. This one should be easy. Never, for any reason, place your hand between the clamping beam and the clamping surface. If you have to hold a part near the clamping beam, use a push stick. Don't take shortcuts. It only takes a few seconds to grab a stick. This is the most important step to remember, and I'll repeat, do not ever, under any circumstance, put your hand between the clamping beam and the clamping surface. This should only be done when the machine is properly locked out. Now, step 8. It is incredibly important to stay focused and not be distracted. So you should not be talking to anyone while operating the machine. That includes talking to your partner while in 2-man mode. If you are being trained or the communication is specific to a particular folding sequence, it is permitted. If you do have a reason to speak to another employee or even your supervisor, all communication must happen away from the machine. The operator must step away from the folder and the foot pedal. Let's look at step 9. Never, ever speed tap the foot pedal in an effort to increase the speed of the machine. This is very dangerous and essentially can override the design of the safety stop or safety laser, which are there to protect you. Again, please don't take shortcuts. It's just not worth it. Okay, here's step 10. Never rest any part of your body on the bending beam. Step back and let the machine fold the part. And now we're at step 11. Return any parts to a cart or table using proper lifting techniques. This will spare any strain on your back. Here's the most important rule of all. Don't operate the folder or any machinery without the proper job hazard analysis training. It's part of your daily responsibility to make sure you get the training you need. And if you're asked to do something you're not trained for, don't let it go. Make sure you let your supervisor know you haven't been trained yet.
Thanks to Sean and his wife Brandy for sharing their story with us. I'm sure you'll agree it's a real wake-up call about why we are so serious about your safety. While I'm sorry about what happened to Sean, I am truly hopeful that it has an impact on each and every one of you. Working at metal sales is not dangerous, but it can be very unforgiving. It's unforgiving of shortcuts. It's unforgiving of even momentary lapses of concentration. It's unforgiving of a lack of personal safety responsibility. Ultimately, we are all responsible for our own safety and that of our coworkers. It's not enough to talk about it whenever we have a severe injury like Sean's. We must work together to prevent injuries from happening in the first place. In closing, I want to challenge each and every one of you sitting there watching this video right now to take a more active role in your own safety and the safety of your fellow employees. If you see something unsafe happening, stop it. Every person in this company has the complete authority to stop unsafe acts. If this is your first day on the job or you're a 20-year vet, please don't be afraid to ask the question or stop something that doesn't look right. Remember, your actions, your choices, your decisions, they impact you, but they impact those around you. They impact your loved ones. I want to thank you for your time and your attention today. Let's all go out and work safely. And most importantly, let's go home to our families happy and healthy.